Thank you for tuning in again to another episode of the Loading Screen Lounge. We're going to discuss the GDC, the Game Developers Conference that happened this past week. It is I, Sir Bigness, along with Matilda and Beer Ninja. Kick it back, pop a cold can of the dryer or whatever open, and relax with us. Let's go, boys.
Sure, he doesn't need a microphone.
So let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Do you guys know somebody by the name of Jason Ronald? Does that name sound familiar to you?
No.
I'm going to read you something here. Well, Jason Ronald happens to be the vice president of the next generation Xbox. So, and this came from Xbox Wire, and he says, I'm excited to share we plan to ship alpha versions of hardware to developers beginning in 2027. And we're committed to keeping games from 4 generations of Xbox playable for years to come. I love that quote. As part of the 25th anniversary later this year, we'll be rolling out new ways to play some of the most iconic games from our past. So we're taking everything we've learned about building and leading gaming operating system and bringing it directly into Windows for both players and developers. After debuting an early version with the ROG, if everybody knows what that is, that's Xbox Ally Handheld. And today he is excited. He says, today I'm excited to share that we're bringing the same innovation to Windows 11, rolling out in April, starting with the select markets. So Xbox mode lets players seamlessly switch between productivity and play with a familiar full screen and controller optimized Xbox experience while embracing the openness of Windows. And he also quotes and states, and I quote, our team is in deep development on the next generation Xbox console, Project Helix, which we all know. We are pushing boundaries and rendering a simulation in partnership with AMD using FSR Next to power what comes next. AMD is Fidelity FX Super Resolution, if you want to know what FSR is. So starting in April, Xbox mode will begin rolling out to Windows and select markets, and it brings a familiar Xbox experience to players while keeping the flexibility, openness of Windows. So that means for developers, the Xbox Play Anywhere catalog now spans more than 1,500 games. That's creating a powerful opportunity to reach players seamlessly across console and Windows. When I read that, I thought that was some really cool information that we really needed to hear about Xbox, because to me, this is some positive reinforcement that we kind of really need to have right now, and just kind of see how Xbox is going to hit the ground running. So what do you boys think?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I think Xbox needed this for not necessarily as a, they needed it as a direction as a company, but also too, they needed it as a morale booster for as gamers and even inside the company, because it just seems like the last couple of years, Xbox has just kind of gotten away from being Xbox. And it sounds like these new people that are in charge now are trying to get it back to the roots and get back to basics and rebuild it from there. And I mean, because we can all agree seems like there's been more misses in the last year than hits with Xbox. And I'm hoping this momentum and the change in the leadership will actually prove down the road that the wait is worth it. What do you say, Bigness?
I mean, all of that stuff sounds really good. What I heard out of that was, yes, we're building a new console. Yes, it's going to be backwards compatible across the previous 4 generations of Xbox. I do like that. That is all very. It's very much resting on a lot of the laurels. I mean, yes, you've done all those things. You've had some great experiences. You've had some great games. All of those games, all of those things are things we can walk out, purchase if we don't have them already, and play. What is coming? What is coming? And I don't mean just necessarily in terms of hardware. Hardware is great, but I think the dilemma that we're in right now in this gaming generation with really across all 3 of the major platforms, Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft, is you have hardware, but not much in the way of software. The consoles are great. the games, they're not coming as furious a pace as we're accustomed to. I say us, meaning those 5th and 6th generation gamers, because we're used to having 5-6 games release on a weekly basis sometimes, and not having that volume of stuff to play, it kind of starts to grind on you. And then when you couple that with the fact that it seems like every really strong AAA title comes not just with the $70 price tag, but the continuation. Hey, well, we need you to keep spending money on this, or we're going to lay off half the dev team. Or in EA's case with Battlefield 6, we're going to lay off half of them anyway, since we made $1.5 billion. So it's great that we can do all of this stuff by looking into the past. Let's look into the future and show me what's coming and what's going to be great in 2027 going forward.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point, because there were some hardships that were going on throughout Xbox and everything. Matter of fact, PC Gamer reported Lightspeed Venture Partners, Moritz Bayet-Lentz. He said that, he's shocked and sad, and that the industry has not embraced the generative AI, which I know we've talked about. We kind of have our feelings about that and everything. He's noting that gaming business has previously pushed new technology forward, and he accused anti-AI game developers of demonizing. He called it demonizing, and a marvelous new technology. So one of the main reasons why there's some people that are giving some pushback about this and everything, what's the number one thing that we all don't want to experience in our lives when it comes to a job? Layoffs.
Losing it. Layoffs,
right? So that's a pretty big deal and everything. But I think with the combination of, I think it gives them another tool to use AI. I want to be positive about it and everything, and think of how they can not only use that, but you also mentioned, Bigness, about we needed a library coming out. Last generation of Xbox, we came out, a lot of it was just ports and everything like that. Not much of a library to talk about, right? Well, maybe AI can actually push that out for us to get us more of the games that we're looking for to have. So I can understand where he's coming from. Excuse me. As far as regarding the layoffs and everything. And unfortunately, it does happen. And I do feel for the people that do that, because that's where a lot of the creativity is. And so maybe we can help bring that creativity back by utilizing AI, I'm gonna see what these the new leaders of Xbox are going to bring out for them and everything, because they kind of hit the ground running through GDC, which I'm pretty sure you guys watched some of that as well. So I kind of wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that.
I know a couple of things that also Xbox announced outside of just Project Helix. They're going to be bringing Xbox mode to Windows 11, which is basically you could take your desktop and switch between a regular desktop and basically the UI for Xbox and play your games on your PC now. I guess it's on the ROG system already.
Yeah,
So that's something new they're going to do. And also too, they also came out and said they also are going to push more for the play anywhere feature. So they're going to add to that library as well. And then another thing they want to do is they're starting a new game preservation initiative, and they want to use the latest tech to revive old titles. And one of the examples they give was the pre-HD Fusion Frenzy game, which I never played, so I don't know. But and like even today, I've heard they're already trying to remaster Knights of the Old Republic. I saw that article today, so that's even in the works. So I mean, granted, yeah, they're still pushing for new games, but also too, I think, and I do agree with them, that maybe also reviving some of these older games and modernizing them, and maybe even add to them, might be an untapped market as well. But also too, they want to emphasize on handheld growth, PC integration, and consistent experiences all across all platforms. So I mean, I think they're trying to encompass everything, and I'm hoping they're not going taking a too broad of approach, and then they're all scattered out, and they need to realize, oh no, in 6-7 months we need to tighten up our shot group, and some of the stuff they announced today is put on the back burner.
The one reservation I have, I mean, I sincerely hope that the employment or the use of AI and it's in some of these things to revamp old games, I'm all for that. That doesn't necessarily cost someone their jobs. You're talking about something that generates existing IPs, maybe revitalizes them, or introduces them to maybe a group of gamers who are younger that didn't get to experience them the first time they came out. What I don't want is I don't want the intrusive, consistent presence of your chatbot agent, whatever it is, whatever AI entity. I don't want that present in my games. I don't want
little paperclip guy coming up and stuff.
Yeah. You were like the paperclip guy from like the early days of Windows.
Yeah.
But now it's called Copilot. And I've got Copilot on my computer. I've got Copilot on my work computer. I can use them. I don't. And when I'm gaming and I'm into a game and I'm really excited about a game, the last thing I need is a little thing popping up on the bottom of the screen. It's like, if you'd like to know how to defeat this villain, press here. No, I don't want that. If I wanted that, I'll look it up on my phone when I have the game paused or something. Granted, that may not be how everybody addresses that, but I think you have that on one end. And on the other end, you're talking about a potentially graphics heavy thing in your games on these next generation of consoles, but you've got this thing sapping resources behind it, constantly pulling resources. And if you know anything about how AI works in computers, it eats up a lot of your available resources, a lot of your available RAM, a lot of your processing power. And I don't want that because it's going to take away from the overall experience and what developers can do when they create games.
So let me swing back here real quick on as far as the next gen for the GDC talk that they have the alpha versions being sent out to devs in 2027. So my question is, when do you think we're going to be seeing this new Xbox, right? Now, I would dare to say if they were going to try to shoot it out for 2027, that would make more sense because that would be what marked the 25th anniversary of Xbox? Am I right?
Yes.
Or 20th, or is it 20th?
It's 20th.
No, I keep hearing 25th.
The 25th was 25th, I believe.
So that would, to me, that would make be a mark in history right there if they're releasing a console out, especially on their anniversary and everything. So some people were speculating 2027. Some people were even shooting for 2028, which that's not far-fetched either. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think if they are shipping the dev kits out, I think it's a good indication that they will be you might be seeing them rolling out late 27.
Oh,
if it's not in 27, it's going to be first quarter of 28. I mean, because at that point they've got everything that they're putting into the console is going to be in it, so they know so they can go build their games based off the equipment. They know it's going to run. So I mean, at that point, I think they're in the process of probably going to start production at some point.
I think if they've got the dev kits on the ground at 2027, which means they're probably the builds of the dev kits will be late 2026. So we're talking 5 months from now, they're going to probably start building the dev kits. That means they get out to the developers early 2027, if not late 2026. You're going to see that thing hit the ground unless something catastrophic happens. You're going to see those things hit the ground fourth quarter 2026. So we're looking at 18 to 21 months from now. You're going to be we'll have whatever Helix's real name is going to be, which really stinks because in 2 months we will be sitting around the television waiting on E3 to come out so we could see this thing for the first time. But alas, this is a world we live in now.
Oh man, I hope they don't call it like the Xbox 2 or something.
No,
No.
they're not going to do that because that's what PlayStation's been doing. They'll come up with something.
Well, they made Xbox One,
Mhm.
then they tried to build off of that for a while, so who knows what they're going to call it. It'd be kind of neat if they would come out more names like Helix and stuff like that, kind of like how Sega did it with Genesis and Saturn, Dreamcast, that kind of thing. I would
Yeah.
like to see Xbox get into something like that. It's kind of like a kind of paying homage to retro video games in some ways too. But
Well, I like the
Okay.
I like the whole Helix concept because one, it's built to look like an X, which is an Xbox, and being that it's a hybrid, you could have one arm of that Helix be the console, the second arm of that Helix be the PC.
Okay, hear
yeah.
me out. I know, Bigness, you don't like AI, but I think we've got plenty of time between now and the end of this year to become proficient on programming with AI so we can get a dev kit and make our own game and test out the new console.
I ain't playing with your fancy artificial intelligence. I have AI, my own actual intelligence.
Like Ninja just said, and you guys were just talking about the replacement for E3, the summer games shows that come out. If they run, do you think they would run a playthrough of a game with that yet? Or we're not at that point, do you feel?
I don't know. Honestly, don't.
I mean, because it
I think
almost
that
sounds like this is something they've been working on for a while now, and it's just they feel like they're in a position to actually release it versus keep it under wraps.
I also kind of feel like they had to do something. I mean, all of the news coming out 3 weeks ago about Microsoft was bad. Everything was
Yeah,
bad. How do you flip that from? And I mean, in the business world, perception is reality. You serve one patty of rat at McDonald's and nobody's eating there anymore. So I mean, how do you flip that? And the fastest way they could think of is, well, we've been working on this. Now it's okay. Get it out there, put it out there, so people stop talking about the chaos that's going on within the Microsoft ranks.
anything else about Xbox? Anybody else noticed? I mean, it seemed like the GDC was pretty much heavy Xbox.
Yeah, it was.
PlayStation didn't really have much of a presence. Nintendo, I don't think was even there.
Anybody else find the PlayStation the real silence coming out of Sony kind of off-putting or maybe even a little sketchy?
Like, what do you mean exactly?
Like there's nothing coming out of Sony. Absolutely nothing. It's just radio silence, it seems like.
Well, it could be a good strategy on their part when they're coming out and preparing for their next console and whatnot.
Yeah.
That's the funny thing I've always found about, especially when it came to Xbox and PlayStation. It was always waiting for who's going to pull the trigger first,
Mhm.
And then, so perhaps maybe this is one of their tactics that they're doing so they can realize what they're up against. Maybe they already knew what they were up against. Who knows? Because like I said, Xbox is hitting the ground running. We got new leadership. We got new console innovation ideas that are bringing console to PC now. And the only thing we get in the background from Sony right now is they want to focus more on their games for their console platforms, which I'm all for, which is not, that's fine and everything. So, like I said, I think it was, I said it before and I'll say it again. I think Sony went the route of playing it safe for what they want to do. But then again, they could surprise us because, they have before in the past and everything. So, from what I understand, the PS5 is still the best console that's outsold the Series X, and I think there's going to be a lot more that's to come, and we're entering this new era of console generations and everything. It's almost like may as well call it the Xbox hybrid or
Yeah.
something like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because we're diving in from one element into the next and we're putting them together. They're bringing the best parts that they have with Xbox and bringing them to PC. And I think in a way it's kind of vice versa as well. We've already got PC elements inside the Xbox platform and everything, but I think there's going to be more to come. So time will tell.
Other stuff going on. I know it was reported that Hideo Kojima was supposed to be there, but he ended up having it was going to be his first keynote speech in 5 years, and he backed out in February at the last minute, but his production team was still there and present for some stuff. What else did I see? They talked about the new NVIDIA GeForce updates coming out. And I mean, that's more for the PC gamers.
Yeah.
They talked about the state of the gaming industry with the ongoing layoffs and their impacts, generative AI adoption trends, talking about 64% of surveyed U.S. game pros support unionization. And then they also had a little bit of an awards show. I mean, I bet you all can't guess what was game of the year for them. It was Clair Obscur Expedition 33, won game of
Yes.
the year plus 4 more. They had a total of 8 nominations there.
The sad yodeling French game.
Not gonna lie, it was a pretty good game. I enjoyed it. I just never finished it. It was a really good game.
I had to play with the music off.
Sometimes when it comes to video games, and this is just a side note, especially for you younger viewers, it's just taking part of the whole experience, you know? Like, take for example, Minecraft. That music, right? Never in a million years would I would have put it on a playlist or anything like that. And now I can't help but think sometimes it was some good time listening to that music while building stuff. You know, it got the creative juices flowing and everything. Not gonna lie, I even used it one time listening to the soundtrack just so I could fall asleep. I liked it. So I kind of like this is why I love video gaming, because you can really explore more about yourself in certain ways. You know, it's just like when it comes to playing video games and listening to music and just taking the time to be more open-minded about things like that. So I know we're kind of going off topic here and everything, but that's one of the things I love about video games is that I can pick out a soundtrack and people be like, "You listen to that?" I was like, "Yeah." You know where it's from, you know. So I love video game soundtracks and everything. And Clair Obscur, it definitely had a very interesting vibe to it, very interesting a sound to it and everything. But like then again, you know, you got to have something like that to make it more catchy. You know, just like when you got websites out there, you got eBay, Google, you know, just stuff like that. People know that's household names and stuff like that. So I think Clair Obscur, if they were to make a sequel, they're going to incorporate music like that because that's just part of it, you know.
Well, fellas, we got anything else?
Nope, I'm pretty good right now.
I think that's about it.
I want to thank you all, listening audience, for joining us here at the Loading Screen Lounge. We will be back next week where we plan on discussing the new hot title, Crimson Desert. Very jazzed about that one. So if y'all don't mind, please like, share, and subscribe. We enjoy having you here. Please make some comments down below if you have some thoughts on some of the things that we discussed. And as always, you know what? You know, Cowboy Matilda, why don't you take us out?
And remember, if you drink, may you drink with me.